Hello. Uh, so recently today I came across a video from somebody by the name of Jonathan Frostathan, I believe, and they were doing a death battle ranking. You know, death battle really isn't my thing, but more power to the people if they want to watch videos and make videos about that series. It's totally up to them, and I fully am 100% on board with whatever anybody wants to do. You know, no judgment here. But something peculiar happened in that video, and I don't watch this kind of content. So one of my friends who is more into Death Battle was watching this, and they, using they, them to not signify who it was, those aren't their pronouns, they showed me this clip of what I can only describe as me catching a stray. I'm going to play that clip in full for you here so you can, you know, just see it, and we're going to take off the discussion from there.
And I also think the music is kinda slept on. Maybe it's not a track I'd listen to on its own, but it has a really solid minimalist vibe to it, and it fits the fight really well, especially when the lighting changes. I would legit take this over a boring mashup of already existing leitmotifs that does almost nothing interesting with them beyond mashing them together in a milquetoast track, or a track that's just a worse version of a song that already exists. You know, like the vast majority of Sky Tegium's Versus scores.
Wait, who said that?
So, first things first, let's get this off the bat. We're not here to attack Mr. Frostathan at all. We're not here to degrade him, but I am just here to clear up maybe some misunderstandings, some misgivings, some misinterpretations of my music, and I feel like you might have misrepresented me as a whole, and I don't want that to happen because, you know, I'm a person, and I don't want my life on the internet to become bad. And I feel like I needed to respond to this because this guy has a very large following now. Jonathan Frostathan has a lot of subscribers and he gets a lot of views, and because he gets those views and he has this opinion about me in one of his videos, my feeling is, and my fear is, that this is going to become the perception of me as a person and as a musician, when I really think that shouldn't be the case. And I'm here to clear the air as to why he might be a little bit more exaggerative, hyperbolic in these claims. So let's start with his first claim about my music.
Or a boring mashup of already existing leitmotifs that does almost nothing interesting with them beyond mashing them together in a milquetoast track.
Alright, no, I want to talk about this for a quick second. So, what a leitmotif is. A leitmotif is a quick, usually short musical idea that represents a character. It got to start in opera and then made its way to musical theater, because musical theater is a natural evolution of opera, which then made its way into film scoring as a way to represent characters in underscoring, and then that made its way into, you know, television, video games, essentially every single piece of media that has sound in it. There is usually leitmotifs abound. So, I would like to ask you, as just a normal person, when I describe leitmotifs to you, what sounds more economic as a composer? Would you rather no leitmotifs and wholly original stuff, or would you rather leitmotifs to know and get excited about representing your character? I would always choose the latter, and that's a personal preference, I have to be honest. You know, some people, they like the wholly original stuff, and I do make wholly original tracks. I do. You don't have to look hard for them. Some of my most popular songs are just wholly original. Galactus Unicron was wholly original. I remember that off the top of my head. Rose Reversal, which is a hugely popular score. I'm looking at my channel right now. It's in my top 10 most popular videos I've ever put out, is a wholly original track. Symbiotic Parasite, despite having a matchup I don't think anybody cares about, was super popular because it was a song people liked, and I wrote it based on nothing. Same with Devil's Curse, or as it's now known, Devil's Cock. My point is, it isn't very hard to look at my channel and find examples of songs that are wholly original and just maybe loop back in like very minute ways like styling and genre. Not genre isn't minute, but you understand what I'm saying. I'm not wholly quoting a leitmotif when I emulate a genre of music. You find that very simply and easily if you just look at my YouTube channel. And beyond that, I have two 10-track full albums filled with original music that I wrote, composed, produced, and edited pretty much all by myself, with the exception of one track that I collabed with somebody on. And the second album was all me. And I'm super proud of it. I love that album a lot. I listen to it on car rides when I'm going to work. It's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun making it. I played it live in that live show I did. So, trust me, I have ideas. I have original ideas. Using leitmotifs is not a crutch. It's a point, and I use it to the best of my ability. Now, sometimes I might use it a little too much. That's subjective, I know. And some people don't like that style of writing. They think it's a crutch, like clearly Mr. Frostathan here thinks. But I just want to say, it is a choice. If I wanted to make these tracks wholly original, I could, but I don't because I find quoting and I find using leitmotifs super fun and super interesting and challenging. I don't find it easy to slip in the leitmotifs just like that. I really think hard about the ones that I use, and every single one that I use, I work and work and work to make sure that it fits the song, and nothing exemplifies this more than when I made Pearl vs. Jin. So, a mild spoiler warning for Steven Universe. I'll try to be super vague about it, because I really like the show, and I would like it if more people watched it, and that's a show that I think gets a bad rap, but that's really besides the point. I just want to illustrate my songwriting process. There are 3 songs in Pearl vs. Jin, This Moment Is Over, that I pulled from the Steven Universe catalog. They're all songs sung by Pearl, or they have Pearl in it. Do It For Her, It's Over, Isn't It, and Here We Are in the Future, which might be called Happily Ever After, I think. I call it Here We Are in the Future because that's the hook. Here we are in the future. So I love that song. So, the first one is to illustrate her at the beginning of the story, because that's a song that she sings in, like, the first 10 episodes, I think? And it's a song that stuck out to me as somebody who was a fan of the show and was following it along at the time. And I was like, oh, this character has depth that we're going to explore. And Pearl was always, like, my favorite of the Crystal Gems, too. Garnet a close second. Which is a bit unrelated, but I just want to say that I care about the characters and representing them well, and this is my attempt at doing so. You can disagree with the attempt, but there is an attempt made. And Pearl is a character I have personal connection to, and I wanted to represent that. So we start out with Do It For Her, which then kind of leaves, and then we reprise it later on. Then we hear some Xenoblade stuff, because again, there's another character in here. We have to represent Jin as much as we represent Pearl, which is a little twisted, but it's true, you gotta represent both of them. So we do some Xenoblade stuff, which I could also go into, but I feel like I'd be bogging down my point if I just didn't focus on one character. We have her at the beginning of the story, and then we have It's Over, Isn't It, which is a song she sings in the middle of the story, in around season 3 of 5. And then we have Here We Are in the Future, which is her at the end of the story. So we have her at the beginning, her at the middle, and her at the end. When we're at the beginning of the song, when we're at the middle of the song, and when we're at the end of the song. I'm just saying, I think about these things, okay? I don't not think about them. And I don't want to be portrayed as somebody who just sits down at a computer and types music code and spews out nonsense. Because I really don't. I really care about these songs. I really do. And I care about putting my entire being into them. So I don't want to be misrepresented as somebody who doesn't care, because I do. I might be a goofy guy who jokes a lot, but I promise you, every single song that I make, I put a lot of thought, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into. I feel like that's enough for this point, so let's go ahead and look at his second point.
Or a track that's just a worse version of a song that already exists.
So I don't think I'm going to spend as long talking about this point as I was the last one, because really, these 2 points are a bit of the same point. Because I think he's talking about some stuff that I quote a lot. And to be frank, he's probably talking about the Smash Bracket stuff, so let's talk about that. So with Smash Bracket, I tend to lean more into the leitmotifs, definitely. Because the characters are, like, on screen, I want to be able to represent them fully and to the best of my ability. And to be fair, to be completely fair, that's not an invalid take. I do use leitmotifs a lot, and just because I think about it, just because I put effort into it and really try and hone into it, doesn't make it not true that I'm not using stuff that wasn't composed by me and repurposing it to make something new. Now, I don't mean to be that guy, but that's what all of Versus does. Every single Versus show, every single Versus thing takes stuff from the characters and repurposes it. I'm just doing the same thing. And this isn't me shitting on Versus as a concept. I wouldn't make scores if I didn't like at least some parts of Versus as a general concept of videos and content. I hate the word content. That's unrelated, but I hate that word. So it's just like, why would you get upset at me for doing the conventions of the genre, essentially, of what I'm making? And don't get me wrong, there could be original scores that don't have a lot to do with, like, the leitmotifs and actual songs of the characters, but they can still represent the characters very well. In fact, I made one of those, and I'm not going to release it because it's for episode 7 of Versus Universe Season 2, and I've shown it to multiple friends, and both of them, the 2 of the friends that I showed it to, both said they really liked it. So I'm inclined to believe that I did a good job representing both characters there. It's just, the thing is, whenever I'm doing, like, a full-on song thing, where, like, I'm quoting a whole section of a song, usually it's not going to last for the entire thing. And you just gotta be a little bit more patient with that. Like, I know, like, in the Smash Bracket stuff, I tend to, let's take Little Mac versus Min Min, for example. The first, like, 30 seconds or so are the minor circuit thing. That's just to set up, like, the punch-out feel. And the best way to do that was to quote the minor circuit theme. So I do that, and then we lay into this kind of arms thing. And so it goes back and forth, and the entire middle section of that piece of music, by the way, is a wholly original, with some select quoting in a guitar solo, original clean section. That's, you know, clean guitar, which you don't hear a lot of in Versus content, which I was excited to do a kind of low-key scoring for that, and I really tried my hardest to make sure that came out the best way it could, and I think people responded pretty positively to it. I don't think there was too much backlash on that. I know some people really don't like the leitmotifs in the Smash Bracket scores, and to that I say, the reason that you hear leitmotifs in the Smash Bracket scores is because I have a plan. I have a plan to represent characters in this ongoing story. Smash Bracket is a story. I have to score it like a story. You would want character themes in a story. So what I have to do is I have to set up these themes and then circle back around to them later. So there is a reason why Smash Bracket is so leitmotif heavy, besides me liking doing that. It's so that when the characters come back in round 2, I can quote the stuff that they've already been in. And if you have a problem with me doing that, then you have a problem with Stephen Sondheim, who is one of, if not the greatest composer, I would say maybe of all time. If you have a problem with me, you got a problem with Steve, and I'm sorry, but he can't take it up with you because he's deceased. I'm still upset about it, but You got a problem with the guy who wrote, Sweeney Todd, West Side Story, all these amazing musicals. I'm sorry for trying to emulate the style of somebody that I look up to both as a musician and as a person. Because that's all I'm doing with the Smash Bracket stuff, is I'm scoring it as if it were a film or a musical. And having the character themes there present is a huge part of my plan for the series going forward in terms of the music for it. So if you ever have a problem with Smash Bracket scores because of leitmotifs again, I just want you to know there's a reason for it. And you can actually, confirm this, because if you notice, we've already had some return characters in round 1. The primary example being, spoilers for Smash Bracket, I guess, but the episode made it pretty clear who won. The Minecraft Battle Royale. That ended with the character Alex from Minecraft winning. So, she came back later on to fight the villager from Animal Crossing. And both of those scores end with the same piece of music. Because both times, and I said spoilers, she wins. So it only makes sense to me to use these themes to represent the characters. And her theme actually is an original composition from me, which is I have to hear it again. I can't remember off the top of my head, because I made a lot of music. Just over the past 2 months, I made a lot of music. So I just want you to know that there's a reason for the Smash Bracket stuff. So really, what I'm saying with this video is that nothing I do in my music is as it seems. Everything serves a purpose, and I do think long and hard about it. And I don't want it to seem like I don't, because I really do. I really do. I'm certain that I've had some songs where I've just kind of thought about what to do, and I thought, let's put this here. Maybe not thought too hard about it. Then maybe I circle back around to it, and I get around to it, and I really think it through. Or maybe it's a specific request from a commissioner, because that can also be the case. Really, I just wanted to go on the record that all I want to do is make good music. That's all I want to do. And the way I get to that music is maybe different from some people, but it's different. It's not worse. I won't stand for it being called worse, because that's just subjectivity. If you have a legitimate gripe with my stuff, it needs to be something other than this, because I'm looking at the time right now. I just spent 18 minutes going over why and how both these claims are at best hyperbolic. And I do this stuff. It's not like I don't, but there's a point to it. And if you don't get the point, I don't feel like you get the music, honestly. The point really, most of the time, is just to represent the character. And if I can't represent the character, I haven't done my job correctly. And I want it on the record. This is not a hobby for me. Music is not a hobby. It is my entire life. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean, my life, my day job is about music. My day job is I teach people how to play the drums, and I teach them how to read music. I do drum lessons for my job. I get paid to teach people music. I come home and I make music and videos with music in them that I make typically for here on my channel. My entire life revolves around music. So for somebody to come in and for 20 seconds just bash on me for what was apparently no real reason other than they felt like it is a real slap to the face. So I want to make this very clear. I am, have been, and always will be a musician. If you don't like it, it's not up to you. It's up to me. You can not like me all you want, but I'm never gonna stop. Until the day I freaking die. I think that's about everything I wanted to talk about with this. Again, I have no ill will towards Jonathan Frostathan. It's a fun name to say. In fact, he makes scores, and I implore you all to check them out. If nothing else, just for a bit of comparison, compare and contrast between me and mine and his stuff. Or, you know, you could also just check him out on your own. You don't have to compare. I'm just saying, you know, at the very least, you know, make sure you're supporting starting out musicians, because he is, you know, very clearly just starting out. You know, I can tell based on like his compositional choices and some other stuff, like his instruments that he's using, not instrumentation, but like the actual like VSTs and like digital instruments. So I'm just saying you should go over there, check his stuff out. And if you like it, good for him. I just didn't want this to become the thing that I'm known for now. And it's clearly an opinion. And as I said previously at the beginning of this, which felt like 20 years ago, I don't want this to become what people think of me when they think of my name. I don't want this to be the prevailing theory, the prevailing thesis on my music, because that implies that I don't care. And I do. I do care a lot. I believe that's essentially everything I wanted to say. I'll leave you guys to your day or night. You know, have a good one. And for the real ones, I'm going to give you the Versus Universe bye, alright? You ready? Bye!